Hey guys, in preparation for the game's release, I thought I'd give you a quick description of each character's playstyle for those of you who haven't had a chance to try them all out yet. In this video, I'll be letting you know each character's class and briefly go over how they play. The first thing to keep in mind when choosing your character is their class. There are Marksmen, which stay back and attack from a distance. Their attacks are generally slower, but they make up for that with range. Then you have Assassins, who move fast, weave around attacks, and take enemies by surprise. You can break through their attacks, but they make up for that with an extra jump and no delay on their dash startup. Next you have Vanguards, which are your slow, heavy hitters. They move slowly, but make up for that by being able to break through enemy attacks and hit like a truck. And finally you have Uniques, which are, well, unique. These are characters that are either a combination of classes, or they don't quite fit into a specific class. These characters lack focus, but make up for it with versatility. Now that we have our classes covered, let's get into the characters. Warrior of Light, the one true tank. He's a Vanguard type, and his skill set focuses on defending his team by blocking attacks, reaching out and pushing enemies away, and drawing the enemy team's attention. He even has a skill that forces the enemy team to target him for a period of time. Garland, the unstoppable Juggernaut. He's a Vanguard type and moves slow but hits harder than anyone else. His unique trait allows him to deal more and more damage the more he hits, and his large attack range allows him to lock down an area of the map with ease. Firion, the ground turret. He's a Vanguard and lacks any ability in the air, but makes up for it by being able to bombard enemies in a wide radius and deal massive damage with combos on the ground. He specializes in positioning himself and unleashing a torrent of attacks on groups of enemies. The Emperor, the Trap Master. He's a marksman and specializes in controlling the battlefield by laying traps, shooting massive projectiles, and limiting the movement options of the other team. He's also great at baiting his enemies and luring them into his traps. Onion Knight, the Hybrid. He's a unique, and his thing is his ability to switch between a marksman with his sage job and an assassin with his ninja job, so he can fill a gap in your team comp depending on your situation. He also starts as a freelancer, which is a weaker hybrid of the two. Cloud of Darkness, the Tentacle Monster. She's a Vanguard type and strikes quickly with long-reaching attacks. She can also shoot laser beams, which is pretty cool. She's great at pushing enemies away and keeping them away. Cecil, the Split Personality. He's classified as a Vanguard, but acts more as a unique. He can switch between Paladin, which is fast and good in the air, and Dark Knight, which is a slow, heavy hitter who excels on the ground and can shoot zoning projectiles. To play him, you need to be good at knowing when to switch in order to adapt to specific situations. Kain, the Duelist. He's an assassin with a toolkit that gives him an edge in one-on-one situations. He's great at picking off the enemy team one by one. He also has a jump attack which he can use to catch his enemies off guard. Golbez, the Controller. He's a marksman who uses massive, powerful projectiles to keep the enemy team at bay. You have to be careful when using him, however, as his attacks become small and weak if he's hit for over 1000 HP damage at once until his EX skill charges. Butts, the Jack of all trades. He's a unique and is the most well-rounded character in the game. He has attacks for any situation and can master each one by using it enough, making that attack more powerful and giving him a buff. I don't recommend using him if you have OCD, as you're gonna want to master all of his attacks. ExDeath, the Sabateur. He's a unique with a toolkit similar to Butts, however instead of being able to master attacks, he can debuff enemies in various ways. He even has the ability to lock off EX skills, so he's definitely someone to watch out for. Terra, the Patient Mage. She's a marksman, and if she doesn't attack for a couple seconds, her attacks charge up and get stronger. She has the option to unleash a barrage of weaker attacks, or wait and unleash powerful blasts depending on the situation. Kefka, the Troll. He's a marksman, and his toolkit is designed to confuse his opponents. He can delay his attacks, making them difficult to predict. Cloud, the Heavy Hitter. He's a Vanguard and is able to charge his attacks, making them stronger and travel further. He's able to launch himself across the stage and deal crazy damage. His attacks have a fairly long recovery time though, so he's easily punishable if he makes a mistake. Sephiroth, the Relentless Aggressor. He's a Vanguard, but his attack chains are fast, long, and brutal. He He has the ability to cancel the end animation of his attacks and keep hitting, so he's great at focusing down an enemy and attacking endlessly until they're dead. Squall, the combo master. He's an assassin and can form massive combo chains. Also, if you press the attack button at the last 1 to 3 frames of each hit, it will cause him to trigger, dealing way more damage. So if you're into rhythm games, he's probably the one for you. Ultimecia, the Bombardier. She's a marksman and she's 100% aggressive. She throws out a lot of single target attacks at once and deals more damage the more she attacks. She doesn't have many defensive options though, so you really need to make sure your team's got your back. Zidane, the acrobatic thief. He's an assassin and has a lot of vertical range with his attacks. This makes him excellent at taking enemies by surprise. He has the ability to steal from his enemies as well, giving him a stat boost while debuffing his targets. He also has the fastest movement speed, so he can pretty much run down anyone. Kuja the Synergist. He's an assassin, and contrary to his character, he can give random buffs to his allies as well as himself. He has good range for an assassin, but long recovery times for his attacks. His ability to move while attacking helps to counteract this, but you still really need to time your attacks and catch your enemies off guard with him. Tidus the Speedster. He's an assassin, and his attacks rely on dashing and launching himself in hard-to-predict ways. He's able to weave around attacks with ease and dispose of his enemies quickly. He can be hard to control though, so you need to be careful not to launch yourself into a bad situation. Jecht, the Brawler. He's an assassin and is the most fighting game-like character in the game. He doesn't have much range, so his focus is getting up close and hitting hard. He has the ability to cancel out of an animation and continue a combo, making him Relentless. He also has a block which stuns enemies for a moment if they hit it, so he can rush in and take advantage of that. Shantoto, the Black Mage Supreme. She's a marksman and specializes in unleashing her raw power and building bravery quickly. She has 2 attack sets. One focuses on slow, large, powerful attacks, which she starts with, and the other focuses on faster attacks, making her more evasive, which she gains after losing enough HP. Vaughn, the HP spammer. Vaughn is a specialist and has weak bravery attacks, but makes up for this by having 2 HP attacks in battle and the ability to chain them together to deal heavy damage. He's really good at taking enemies by surprise and chipping away at their health. Lightning, the Army of One. She's an assassin and can switch between a fast range stance and a close melee stance on the fly. She's great at opening with ranged attacks and closing in for quick combos and can adapt to situations quickly. Y'shtola the Support Mage. She's a marksman with shorter range than most. She makes up for this with her ability to set traps and heal her allies, as well as a variety of great defensive options. She's great if you want a true support character. Noctis the Teleporter. He's an assassin and acts sort of as the tracer of this game. He can warp around the battlefield and deal crazy damage to unsuspecting opponents with quick strikes. His regular movement is relatively slow however, so positioning is especially important. Ramza the Buffer. He's a unique and can charge up his EX skill DBZ style and unleash it to buff himself and his party, then wreak havoc. He's a great character to have on your team as his buffs can give you a great edge in battle. Ace, the Astrologian. He's a marksman with a good mix of quick offensive and defensive options. He also has the ability to give random buffs to his team as well as random debuffs to his enemies, so he's a great support for his team. And that's everyone that's set for launch of the game. I hope this list gave you a little bit of insight and helped you pick your main. I know I'll be maining Zidane as I find his movement options a lot of fun, but who are you thinking of picking? Have you already decided? Let me know down in the comments. I'll be making guides every week for characters and mechanics, so creep down to the subscribe button so you don't get left behind. Plus, if you're into some early friendly competition, the Dissidia community is throwing a free global tournament 2 weeks after release. I'll leave a link in the description so you can put a team together and make it into a bracket. I'm with Team Azalea and I'm stoked to face as many of you as possible. And if you want to study up, I'll leave links to some YouTubers with great resources and commentary to help you prepare. Next week I'll be covering offensive options and when to attack, so I hope to see you there.